Hi, Sarah. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Absolutely. First, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So my pen name is Serra Wildheart, and I wrote the book Return to Star Junction, which is magical realism, family drama, a few other things mixed in there. Um, and I started writing it actually in 2020. Um, when my roommate sold the condo and I found myself on a solo road trip looking for the next place to land in that very awkward time. And I found myself in the national parks like Zion and the Grand Canyon and Bryce and inspired. And I started writing, and it took on a life of its own and has now morphed not just into the book, it'll be a series, and also we've launched a publishing co-op from our writing group. So lots there. Otherwise,
Amazing.
I have two dogs and the DogDad and a really tiny house in Colorado. That's me.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us what your book's about.
Absolutely. It is a story of returning home, really. A woman, Val, is in her mid 40s and she gets a call from her brother who is in need of help with his son and their nephew. So she finds herself returning to the hometown that they had left 30 years before. And so it's a journey to heal the family and reunite the family, but also for her to come back to herself, to remember the lessons of her childhood and the sort of the mystical ways of her grandmother and the town that they grew up in, which is Star Junction, which is a fictional town, but I really want to live there. Uh, um, so it's a bit mystical and heartwarming and with some real family situations in there.
Love that. What inspired you to write your book?
Honestly, hiking and car camping in and near and adjacent to the national parks, Zion, which is in Utah, the north rim of the Grand Canyon, Bryce, and the Grand Escalante Staircase, not a national park, but um, it's something while I was there, I started having dialogue, coming to me, and I was like, what is this?" Like, who's talking in my head?" Um, so I figured I should start writing it. And then I sketched out the characters. I'm not really an artist, but I just kind of felt like, okay, what do they look like? Who are they? What is the story? I didn't know if it was a kid's story. I really didn't know what it was until I kept writing, and it told me, a ways in, but it told me, and uh, yeah, I what I did was once I started writing it, I decided that I had to really commit to it because I'd started plenty of books in the past and I always considered myself a writer, but I always was putting food on the table and paying the bills and not writing. So I joined a group, a writing program, and that gave me some accountability to show up and keep writing. And then I decided, well, how am I going to support myself and really focus on the book? Because I know if I go back into sign a lease and have to pay utilities and all that regular job, I'm going to lose it again. So I took a job at the North Rim of the Grand Canyon for the season, and I decided that would be pretty smart and also beautiful, considering the book is set in the nearby there. So yeah, I just did everything I could to support the writing of the book. And that meant saying, "Sure, I'll live in a dorm at my age." And be very remote. I don't know if you've been to the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, but it's about 90 minutes to the nearest town. So and you don't get cell service really. The internet is, we'll just say not really good. So it was a commitment to the space and the energy there to write the book.
Love that. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
Um, I really felt like it was for not one group, but honestly anybody who felt like they've um, lost themselves a little bit along the way, or um, aren't quite sure what they're doing anymore. Like, what is this? Why am I doing this? What's the point? And also people who have been through hard times and have had a hard time letting go or releasing it and healing and moving into, you know, the next state, which is uh, forgiveness and the present instead of being in the past. So it's really, it's a broad category. I mean, a broad audience in many ways, but that's what I had in mind.
Amazing. How long have you been writing? What made you really sit down and start?
Um, well, I wrote my first short story in the fourth grade. I think it was called It, but and then it was a lot of poetry and lyrics and probably really bad ones for a while, and a few short stories and other things in college. I did some magazine writing um, as an adult, but never focused on it full time. And part of that was a confidence thing, thinking, oh, I mean, if it happens, it happens, but I can't sell myself. I can't pitch it. I just didn't do it. I stayed safe for a really long time. And in this instance, I felt like if I don't do it now, I shouldn't call myself a writer or even a wannabe, and I will just like hanging up because everything came, and the characters were so vivid and not I had to give it time, and it was a process. It took me quite a while under the circumstances to actually get to the first draft, and then even longer to get to a better draft and go through the editing process and end up with something that was, that I felt really good about and like, okay, this is what it's meant to be. Um, and part of that was just making that commitment and that decision and in the moment saying, if I'm doing this, if I'm doing it and I'm doing it 100%, and I have to get it done. So I wasn't giving myself an out. Um, I mean, I packed up and shoved everything in the car and went to the North Room. So yeah, it's like, okay, here I am. Let me work. Um, and that will be a book someday too, but that's a whole other story.
Love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Well, I split my time. I do work, but I don't work as much as I used to. My circumstances changed a little in that I have someone to share the bills with and all of that, and he's very generous. So I work at the college bookstore in our town, and I also spend a lot of time on the publishing company. It's a cooperative, there's 7 of us right now, and so some of us are more technical than others. So I'm one of those. So I tend to spend time on the website and putting up the blogs and all of that, and coordinating and launching the next things so that we can open it up and expand to other authors who need that, um, or who would benefit from the opportunity to essentially self-publish, but with help, with with a community. Um, and then I set my schedule and make daily commitments or goals, set my goals for word count and to sit and write. And sometimes that means, I do it. I write thousands of words in a day, and other times it means I write 297 and stare at the screen. But I keep going. And if I really am not moving or something's not coming, then I'll get up and do something else. Like I'll do a little bit of art or I'll do some movement, take a walk. You know, uh, work out something so that I can shift the energy and get back to it and get my focus again. That's what that looks like, though.
Love that. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Well, that's a good question. Um, I huh, I need the right balance of noise and things to like zone out to. Um, If it's too quiet, I get distracted, but if there's enough going on that I can tune out, like I can work well in a coffee house, um, but not so much a library unless I have music, headphones on, which is much easier now than it used to be. um, but at home, I have a designated little, I call it my imagination station or creation station, where I have my little um, notes and cork boards and a whiteboard behind me, and I kind of jot ideas and do a little brainstorming and mind mapping sometimes. Um, and I often will like light a candle or to try to open the space and sit with it. And I will often get distracted by the dogs because they like to bark. And I can tell it's spring because the flies have returned and they're chasing the flies. So, it's, it's that's the sign of spring in this area of Colorado anyways.
Love that. What is your favorite writing snack and drink?
Ah, well, if it's not coffee, because I'm having to do a little bit less of that lately, it can be like a little sparkling water or maybe an iced tea or green tea or something like that. Um, and snacks, it depends. I'm also a baker, so I will either bake some cookies and have a couple of cookies, or sometimes you want something salty. Yeah, that's a tough question. I all I know is that I have to limit it, otherwise I'll just keep munching and stop writing. So,
What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
oh, you know what? I love so many different books, and it's funny because I never started to categorize them until I started writing one, and people said, "What genre are you writing?" And I went, "Oh, uh," but I love magical realism books, some historical fiction. Uh, I love Anne Lamott and um, Annie Dillard and um, gosh, so many others that I can't think of right now because you would think I would know the answer to that question. Um, but I also I like books that move me and that leave me feeling like I, I had an experience reading it, and I mean it's not that I don't like the fun stuff. There's some fun fiction out there that it's just a quick read and it's light and it's just entertainment and that's great. Um, But I find that I get distracted from those pretty quickly, whereas if I'm reading something, I want it to be a little bit more, um, I don't know, moving. I like moving. I like to cry in books. I don't know, it's terrible. It's cathartic. That's what I need, catharsis.
Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
I would say sorry, I hope you didn't hear the dogs. They really like that question. The let's see. Yes, Anne Lamott. was one. I loved her book Bird by Bird so many years ago. Um, and it made it feel possible because you think about, I'm going to write a book, and then you get overwhelmed because it's an undertaking. Um, but when you realize, no, I can just do today, do today, and do today, and it's fine. But I would say honestly, Maya Angelou, um, let's see, Alice Walker, Toni Morrison, um, and Kathleen McGowan, all of those for sure. They're all women. Have you noticed? Uh, um, hmm, they're just most recent on my mind. Uh, their writing styles are so immersive that when you're reading them, you feel like you're right there having the conversation or being told the story, and that is amazing to me, and it inspires me to write better.
Love that. What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
Um, I grew up reading Robert Louis Stevenson, John Steinbeck, um, oh, let's see, all the like Little House on the Prairie, that series. What else? I was really intrigued by uh, I was on a John Steinbeck kick for quite a while in high school. That was like it felt big for some reason, partly because it's not the most pleasant stuff to read, but it's engaging, and there's some of them are big. Um, I don't know that I had an all-time favorite, although The Color Purple I must have read, I don't know, 20 times or something like that. I think I used to know where to find certain passages on what pages. Yeah, when had to write a paper about it in college, and I'm like, oh, I think that's on like page 82. Oh yeah, there it is. Like so that was probably one of them. Yeah.
Love that. On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
Kathleen McGowan, uh, E.L. Winters. She's a newer author, but I love her. She's also in Scribe Hive, full disclosure. But I want to read everything she writes because it's so much fun to read. Um, and let's see who else. I don't know. I can't think. I'm sorry. Not thinking of others. I know there's more out there, and I'm sorry that I'm forgetting your names right now.
Love it. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Um, I would say, I would say to take it at your pace. If you're not enjoying the story that you're reading, find a different one, but then go back to it later because sometimes a story is, it's not right in the moment, but later on you'll be in a different frame of mind, a different place, and you'll read it differently. I mean, when I've gone back to read stories that I read when I was younger, and I read them now, and I'm going, oh, it feels like a completely different book, whereas before it was like, ah. So it's timing matters in the reading, but I would say enjoy it and take your time with it, and don't worry about what other people think of a book. You know, it doesn't matter if somebody else didn't like it if you like it. So just like it. Just enjoy what you're doing, enjoy what you're reading, and um, then find other if you like a book. Find other books like that in that genre or that are compared to it in, going on to Goodreads or onto Amazon or wherever. It'll give you suggestions of similar things.
Love that. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
I would say set yourself up for success. Make a commitment to it. Find out what that means to you. What are you, what are you willing to do to show up for yourself? to complete the book. Um, if that means joining a writing group, then join a writing group. If that means scheduling time each day, like, okay, well, I have to be at work at 8, but I'm gonna get up an hour early and I'm gonna write for an hour every morning, or I'm gonna write for an hour every evening instead of watching TV, make the decision of what you're gonna do to and how to set yourself up for success and hold yourself accountable to it. And that doesn't mean beating yourself up because our inner critic will do that all day long. So it's not an invitation to getting the inner critic to say, "Oh, you're never gonna do this. What were you thinking anyways?" But really it's a way of muting your inner critic by giving yourself the opportunity to show up each day. And if there's a day that you don't, we're we're not perfect, like it's not meant to be rigid. It's just meant to support you. Um, but I would say a writing group or a writing partner, somebody that you can, go through it with and have accountability with is a great option.
Love that so much. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
There's probably a few things. Um, People are surprised that in 2020, when my roommate sold the condo, I didn't just find another place to live and get another job and sign all my utilities and all that. That I took the solo road trip instead. And they're surprised that from my stint at the Grand Canyon, I met the dog dad and the dogs, and we went on a 48 state road trip to experience. It was winter, so some of them we didn't experience too much outside, but all the 48 states and explore. Uh, and that's a little startling for people. Like, are you what? You did? Yeah. It was an adventure for sure.
Love that. So fun. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Um, I would like to I think just say that whether you're a reader or whether you're an aspiring writer or an accomplished writer, it's the dreaming and the allowing the magic in. Even if you're writing nonfiction, even if you're writing something serious, it's still about allowing that in to let you dream and to let you consider the possibility of as it is truly possible, right? Like not as, oh yeah, oh I could never do that, but really as I can. I can do it and I want to do it. So so how do I make that happen? How do I allow it and encourage it and all of that? Because you can.
Love that. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option? And the best place to connect with you?
So to connect with me, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm still debating TikTok. I'm not sure I can manage it, but um, also scribehivepublishing.com, and then Sarah Wildheart. Sarah is Serra, Wildheart. And um, I would say so the book is available on Amazon. The ebooks are available also on Apple and Kobo Plus. Um, we will have a direct sales opportunity soon that will also be able to do signed books. So by the time this airs, if you go to scribehivepublishing.com, there should be a online store there where people would be able to order signed books as well. Um, and in September, at the end of September, I will be at the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference, Colorado Gold. Um, and yeah, I think that's it. I'm embarking on a little mini book tour right now, but it will be over by the time this airs. So we'll we'll not worry about that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.